Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Hogs Media Pod After Dark tonight. We're doing it after the Hogs' recent 1-point victory over Texas A&M. Buzzer beater shot by Tremont Mark. Thoughts, feelings, rate.
Oh, I can barely breathe. I can barely breathe. So many things to talk about. A lot of good, but also still a lot of bad. Um, we came out and, the first 10, 13 minutes of the game, not only did we get up by 20 points, we had a 20-point lead, 30-10 at one point. It looked good. Like it wasn't like we were just getting lucky shots. It wasn't that we were just getting like a ton of like run out, like steals or whatever. It was we were playing disciplined defense, forcing A&M to take some tough shots. Yeah, they had some misses that they probably should have made, but even if you give A&M maybe three or four of those shots back, I still think we're up, 13, 15 points still, at the halfway point of the first half. So we were doing good defensively, efficiently, that offensively, we were looking good too. Like a lot of energy, a lot of movement. The fact that like Brazil had three or four lob opportunities, obviously the one that came from Mark was overthrown. There was another one that was overthrown, but then he did get one or two that he was able to jam in. There was one that he should have gotten a foul call on where he had to like catch it and come down with it and then miss the layup. But like that's a good sign, right? It shows that we're penetrating the defense, finding an open guy. There's a guy that can get the backdoor cut. We're moving it. And then it just kind of like the energy started to die the last like 8 minutes of the second half. And it turned into the Tremont Mark show. And don't get me wrong, Tremont Mark, he's a phenomenal individual player. But when the ball gets stuck with him, like the defense eventually can just start crowding him. And then what happens is the rest of the team gets cold and the rest of the team stops moving around. And the rest of the team says, all right, whatever. I guess you're just going to take your guy one on one every play. And then all of a sudden, just the good looks at basket go down. And every shot that Mark makes, you go, well, I'm glad he made it, but dang, that was a tough shot, or like he had to get fouled or he had to do this, and again, not taking anything away from his game, but it hurts the team as a whole when he just goes into that mode where it's 5, 6, 7 possessions in a row or 7 out of 10 possessions where he's not looking to move it around. He's not looking for anything. And then that has a trickle effect because even if he gets out of that mode mentally, the rest of the team is still like stuck and they're cold and they're frustrated. And then you get what we had tonight where you like the proof is in the pudding, right? The first 10 minutes of the game, I think Mark maybe had like 2 points or 4 points, and we were winning by 20. Then all of a sudden, Mark scores 30 of our next 40 points. And what happens? We almost lose the game. So it's like, you can't sit here and tell me, like, no, Mark's the reason we won. No, like, yes, he won the game winner and he helped keep us in it. But him doing what he did might be the reason it was only a 1 point game instead of a 10-point game. So I know that might be a controversial take, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I agree. I think, like you said, our offense was so much more smooth and fluid when we were swinging the ball, back cuts, just ball movement. And you're exactly right. We just stand there and hope he makes shots. And some games he's going to go off for 35. And then some games like Florida, we're going to lose by 20 because he does that and he doesn't make shots. Because that's what any player, not unless you're LeBron, Kevin Durant, or any of those top NBA guys, you're not going to make those shots every single game in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So our offense cannot go on with him doing that. Now, when we need a guy to take over, Coach Musk mentioned after the game, Ricky Council, Jimmy Witt, we've had those guys take over at the end of the game for a clutch shot. Kansas, Debo, and Ricky Council took over. And that's fine. Every team needs that,
Yeah.
a closer. But it was like you
Under
said,
five, to your point,
yes,
under 5 minutes or under 4 minutes, yes.
yes,
Play
exactly.
that, give it to the hot hand and don't take any chances. The rest of the game, yeah, no, no.
It seemed from like, especially like the 13-minute mark, right before that 12-minute mark, it was just Mark, or we were chunking up a three. Devo airballed a three. L. Ellis, which I thought he looked excellent tonight. I thought L. Ellis was a huge reason we won. He went 3 for 11, but the half, like four of those were at the end of the game where he kind of just chunked them. And I thought he got fouled on one of those last plays. speaking of that, the refs tonight, most fouls I've ever seen.
Oh, bro.
They
Let
called 9 million calls.
the total fouls in this game, 50. 26 on Texas A&M and 24 on us. So at least it was even, right? At least it was going both ways. I gotta say, like, other than the flagrant two on Devo, which
That was
look
terrible.
terrible. I don't even like, yes, it's a foul on Devo. Like, okay, he extended his
Flagrant
foot.
one, probably.
I'm iffy on the flagrant one, but like according to like the letter of the law, he extended his foot. So I get it. But it was like a flagrant two is for when you go out of your way to
Pushing,
intentionally hurt a guy. Yeah,
elbow.
like you blindside a guy
Yeah,
that's like not even close to the ball and you push him out of bounds or you punch him. Like that's what flagrant twos are reserved for, not I jumped in the air and a defender jumped at me and two honestly, I think he was just defending himself, like protecting. Like
he was.
he was already in the air before he even moved his foot out. So that tells me, in Devo's mind, he's not intending to kick someone. It's just a reaction, a bad reaction. But yeah, it's like, oh, I'm up in the air, guys jumping at me. I'm going to try to create space by putting my foot out. That is not a flagrant two. It's unfortunate that it hit the guy in the gonads, but that is not a flagrant two. It's not even, I don't even think I can call that a kick. Like that's literally the bottom of my foot made contact with the guy, but that's not a kick. His knee, Devo's knee was already in the air from the jump. He didn't raise up and extend. It was like literally like it's up and I kind of just the crappiest call ever. But other than that, I would say it was even both ways. Just way too ticky tack. But honestly, the guys were fouling a lot too.
But what pisses me off is Wade Taylor can get touched on defense and it's instant whistle. I get it. He's a good player. We don't have to ride him like that. Like, damn, it pisses me off so much. I understand good players get good calls. I've always understood that. But Devo was trying to play aggressive defense. Foul, mark, foul. It's like, what do we do on defense? I get it. He's a good player. Dropped 42 tonight, which in itself is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to stop one guy. They were without Henry Coleman, which was huge. Don't think we win the game with him playing.
No,
They
we don't.
had he's a big rebounder. They still had 19 offensive rebounds. We had three. Three. And what makes
Oh,
me I'm just gonna go out and say it. Somebody's performance that really pissed me off tonight. Trevin Brazil played like crap
whoa. Talk about it.
because he doesn't his defense, Wade Taylor's layup at the end of the game, no help. He just watches, doesn't try to chase down block. You're the most athletic person on the team, in the building, in the state, and you don't try and chase down block or at least do something. He just watches. And then on the threes, he wouldn't come up. Give up an easy two. Get your hands up. And our guys just give too much space. He's got 40 points almost, and we're still not closing out enough. If you're going to go under the screen or over hard and you got a hedge guy, he's got to get up more. Our guys give up so many threes. They went, what, 1 for 15 in the first half? Something like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
from
A&M
three.
was I think, yeah, one for 50. They were 0 for 14 at one point, and then I think they
Yes.
hit their 15th. And I
So
don't even know if they hit that 15th in the first half. It might have
if
been in the
they
second.
if they hit more threes, we're done because we give up so many. Florida hit a ton the other day. Every other team we've played hits these because we don't guard a screen correctly. And Trevin does not play defense at all, which would be fine if he was dropping 20 on offense. But all he does on offense is stand around.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a
We got to
bad
figure
player,
that out.
but
Say
he is. I'm not saying like he's awful or anything. He's one of our best players. He should be our dude. And it makes me so mad because he doesn't act like it. He just stands around the perimeter. He has no moves, and he doesn't go rebound. He missed multiple box outs tonight, which is the reason
Yeah.
for that. And it's just,
Yeah.
he just has so much potential, and it makes me mad.
Yeah. It's true. He does have I mean, yeah, our ability to guard the ball and uh give that help defense off of screens has been it's been rough all year. It's either the the five or the four man, that's coming off of the guarding the screener either doesn't help enough to force the
Exactly.
guard back to the original defender,
Yes.
or they play too much and give up the role to the guy that they're supposed to be guarding. And it's like you got to find that sweet spot of like forcing the hedge, forcing him back, and yeah, I mean obviously there's a lot to it.
Cover is
It's
poor. It's poor.
yeah,
And then we help
it's
over and then we don't rotate. It's our whole rotation is too slow.
yeah. Yeah, we on defense and on offense, but I just feel like there's so much thinking, right? And so much like trying to like assess and respond instead of like preempting or reacting. They like I haven't seen it, and it shows up in the steals, right? Like we're really bad at steals this year,
We're
like
really
we're
good
hardly
at
getting.
blocks. That's the
We're good
crazy
at
part.
blocks, which is probably is because we're behind the ball and we're like
Yes.
getting recovery blocks. But like you would get those steals when you're like preempting, right? Like, oh, this defender's about to pass it here, or this is about to happen. I'm gonna jump it, and I would say towards the end of the Florida game, I started to see Tremont Mark starting to preempt some things, and he got some steals like kind of down the end of the game. It was like, there it is, like that's it. Like you have the ability. You're preempting what the offense is doing. You're no longer just responding to what the offensive guy is doing. You're forcing something to happen. You're forcing the ball to move. You're poking it out. You're getting in lanes. And it's like we just need more of that. I think Layden Blocker actually that's the thing that we love when we watch Layden Blocker is because he's trying to predict, and you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble if you over predict, but you can also create a lot more steals and not let teams get hot. And even if you give up a drive, like as an offensive guy, you're still getting frustrated by that, right? It's like it's not fun when a defender is just in your face, even if you get around him one or two times. Um, but then on offense, it's kind of like the same thing. Like so many times tonight, our point guard would have a guy screen, like Chandler Lawson would come up and set a pick, and then they just kind of like take two slow dribbles over to the side. And it's like, well, that's a wasted screen.
Use it.
Use it. Like sprint around that screen. And when guys catch the ball, they're not catching it and immediately like driving to the basket or like looking to move. They're catching it and then like looking. And the defense always has time to recover. It was even happening on when Texas A&M started to trap. Like how many times did the guy just like catch it and then like look at what he's gonna do? It's like catch it and run, like catch it and sprint. Like you can't let the defense like you got to keep them on their heels. You got to keep pushing, and it just feels like there's just too much like assessing going on throughout the whole game. Again, to tonight's, I know there's probably people out there like it's a win. Don't criticize a win. I'm
No,
not
you
looking at
do need to
tonight as
criticize him.
you do need to criticize a win because we freaking were down by a point with 7 seconds left
We were up
when we were
20
up
in the
by
first half.
20 at home. Like,
Can't stress that enough. And it's like, how do you blow? I was thinking that the whole time. We're gonna blow this. We're gonna figure out some way in the Arkansas way to blow this. And it's because of defense and our lack of offense. I think everybody's
the
so
whole
frustrated with
game.
this. Yes, because we show spurts. When we get up 20, we show spurts of what we can be. The Duke game, a couple other games. We show we can be a good team,
Mhm.
potential tournament team if things go the right way. But we just don't play a complete game.
Yeah.
And we let guys take over, which Wade Taylor was hitting some unbelievable shots. I mean,
I
that
mean,
three he hit at the end,
yeah. I mean, that three, he had two threes down the stretch
yeah,
that were like, are you kidding? Like, what? Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, hats off that guy. I was screaming profanities at him the whole game. Just, I hate Wade Taylor. Just for years now, he's been taking it to us.
thing
I
is,
mean,
he's only a junior. He's not even a senior. He's just been a dude since his freshman year. But
ugh,
he's definitely gotten
yeah.
way better. I mean, oh, we I think if we put Devo on him, it helps a little bit, but I still don't know if he stops him from hitting those shots at the end. But I do think he helps. We also got
Yeah.
that boots
I mean,
rabbit.
losing, I mean, we were what when Devo, let me check the play by play because when Devo got kicked out. I think we had a 10-point
You're up 8 or 10.
lead at that 8 or 10.
It was like the four and a
Let's
half,
see.
was it?
Yeah, there was like 4:40 left or something like that.
I thought.
Um, right?
So yeah, it looks about 441. We were up
4:40.
70 to 60. And he
Oh,
misses both free throws. The guy that got fouled, he misses both T free throws.
which I was like, ball never lies. Um,
Saying every
yeah,
time.
so we're up 10, yeah, like you said, with 4:40. So I think if Devo stays in the game, I don't think it gets down to us down one. I think Devo in 5 minutes of play, because they got A&M got 17 points after that point.
Yeah.
17 points in 4.5 minutes. That is, I mean, that's incredible scoring. I mean, that's on pace for like 60 points a half, and I know it's end of game, more scoring happens, but still, I think Devo Davis prevents 17 points in 4 minutes of play. um Maybe they still get 12 or 13, but yeah, we definitely missed Devo. Yeah, down the line. Some other things that I think were interesting about the rotation tonight. Caleb Battle
I noticed
didn't
that.
play a single minute. A guy who obviously started the season as our leading scorer. If the first 4 games he was
Still
averaging,
averages 12.
he still averages 12. But I have to say, I'm not offended that Battle didn't get in there. I'm not angry about it, because I think the last few games, again, not the battle that we saw in the first half of, our 16 game run that we're on, the first 8 games, it was like, yeah, this guy's like, proven his offensive worth, at least for sure. But it's been a slow and steady decline for him. And the last 4, 5, maybe even 6 games, his shot selection
Yeah.
has been really, really, really bad. Really bad. I mean, shooting the ball still with 25 seconds on the shot clock, 0 passes, 2 defenders in his face, floating, doing a running floater, like stuff like that, where you're like, what is this? What's happening? And then on defense, the whole year he's been a little bit of a liability. Even when he's not even on ball, if you watch, there's a lot of times where he's like watching the ball, and his defender, or the guy he's supposed to be defending, is just like running free behind him, and gave up a lot of stuff. So like, similar to the journey that we've seen with Ellis, at least leading up to tonight, we might now see Battle go on a similar journey. And I hope that in a few games he's able to finally like get his swagger back and come back strong. But let's talk about Ellis now.
About who? LLs?
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, I think he played outstanding. I think he was more under control tonight. You saw multiple times where he would jump stop because he likes to do like what's it called, a hammer pass, where you jump in the air, throw it baseline to the corner. And he did that once or twice, but he was more control, overhead pass, three, overhead. Like he was hitting guys in stride. And even if they didn't make it, it was still good passes. So I like that from him. I thought he played decent defense. He gave up a couple layups, but I think he's improving. I think he's trying more on defense, definitely giving more effort. And I think he hit some shots. He did miss some layups late in the game, but I'm just glad he was being aggressive. I'd rather him do that. And like you said earlier, I wish he would use a ball screen more effectively. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I really liked what he did, and I hope he keeps getting consistent minutes. Like
Yeah.
he could play.
Yeah,
And
I agree. His layups, even the few that he missed, they were still good. They were still good looks. They were good layups, which is like kind of what I was saying, the opposite about like Battle. Like half the time when Battle misses a layup, it's like, dude, there was like 2 giants in your face, like blocking you. But with Ellis, like it's like, hey, that's a good layup. Like you got to the rim, you adjusted, you got a good look. It just didn't quite fall your way. So yeah, I like those. You're absolutely right. Getting get this, he was our leading rebounder tonight.
That was
Tied,
how many did we have?
he had 6 of our 35. Devo also had 6, and then Brazil had everyone else that started had 5. So our starting lineup definitely, like put in the effort. Obviously, they gave up a ton of offensive rebounds, but seeing it more balanced, right? There's less zeros, ones, and twos on the box score and on the screen. Um, but yeah, Ellis getting 6. He had 2 assists, which that could have been a little bit higher because he kicked it out to some guys that had wide open looks that just didn't fall. A couple to Brazil, I think one to Davenport, where it was like, that's your shot. Um, yeah. Another, I guess, observation for tonight: smallest rotation we've had all year.
Yeah, I was about to make a comment about that.
Yeah, really only 7 players with notable minutes. I
Minifield
mean,
really didn't
nine
play
guys
that.
played total, but Mitchell and Graham were at 3 and 4 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, and it was fairly inconsequential minute. It was like not even 4 minutes at a time, right? It was like Graham got like a minute and a half in the first, and then like a minute and a half in the second. Mitchell got
Mitchell looked lost tonight. He
a
honestly
little
did.
bit lost. Yeah, it wasn't great. But yeah, then Menafield and Davenport, were the sixth and seventh man. I thought Davenport, especially in the first half, did a great job.
Yeah.
He did what you want him to do. He hit multiple 3-pointers. He got streaky. Uh, got 8 points total. Played hustle defense. Um, he got beat a couple times, but for the most part, he guarded his man and did well. He at the end of the game, after he shot an air ball, he
That block
recovered
was huge.
that
That was good
block.
hustle. That was
That was
huge.
big. That was really big.
They did attack him
Menfield,
though. They attacked him in the second half on defense. They went after him.
they did. Um, which is interesting because he wasn't assigned to Taylor or Radford. He had
Did get Radford on some possessions because of Devo
screen,
and
which is
screens, and so. But Radford still went. I think what 2 for 14 tonight or something like that. He went
yeah. We got
15.
lucky that Radford had such a bad night.
Yeah,
2 for
him and
15.
but then Garcia for them had a double double, which he's averaging 5 points on the year. He had 10 and 12.
Garcia 5 for 5.
Yeah, he was huge for them. But yeah, I think Davenport's improving and should get consistent minutes as well. But
Yeah,
Minifield,
I like
what are your
Davenport. I like
thoughts?
Davenport's energy, man. He just feels good. Like
He brings
he's
it.
he's like maybe the one player that I have not seen a dip in his positivity all year. Maybe Blocker as well, but like Davenport, I mean, he's the first, like he's the biggest guy on the like jumping up on the bench when a guy makes a shot. He's in it when he's in the game. Like it's energy. Even after he misses, has a really bad miss or a bad shot, like we saw tonight, he recovers,
Yeah,
tries to make up for it on the defensive end. He doesn't sulk and he doesn't look at the ref being like, "What the heck, ref? Like, where's the call?" Like he's there. He's energy, such a positive guy. I mean, seeing him in
he
interviews
just
too, like
plays. He
he just
doesn't.
plays.
And
I
yeah, he
like
got
him.
mad at the end. He did get a call against him that was pretty stupid, and he showed some emotion, but it wasn't too. And it was a ridiculous call,
It was a ridiculous call, but like even then, he didn't get his head down. He literally just jumped
and he
up
did.
like,
And he didn't get a T. He didn't do anything. Like some of our guys probably would have got a T in that moment. Maybe
oh yeah.
Coach Muss was pretty close to getting one. They had to hold
Coach
him back.
Smart was like running interference, like, dude, it's a 3-point game. Do not get a technical.
The thing that cracks me up with Coach Muss is he's like so energetic, like wild and stuff. And then you see our staff, and they are so calm. They're just,
Even still.
especially Coach Smart. He shows no emotion, nothing. And then Coach
Yeah.
Muss going nuts all the time.
Going nuts, man.
Surprised he didn't get a
Uh
he was all over the refs.
He was. He got really close a couple times.
Yeah,
Really close. Um, I think he just, for as emotional as Muss is, he's smart and he knows when the team can afford a technical and when they can't. And so I think he definitely
definitely helps
like,
having a get back guy. Definitely helps Coach Smart being his get back.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
What are your
Uh,
thoughts on Pinion
say
and
what?
Block not getting much playing time?
I was surprised.
They played well against Florida. They were the really the big ones that stood out to everyone.
Yeah, even in the post game interview after Florida, like coach was really positive about Pinion and Blocker. He said like, yeah, those guys did exactly what we wanted them to do. They were the only ones that were really showing the effort that we wanted. Coach even said like at the end of that interview, which I don't know if anyone was like reading between the lines in the last interview, but he got asked by a media person, "Hey, coach, in your last 3 seasons, you started out conference play, with 3 or 4 losses, and every year you've turned it around and made an NCAA run. Do you think that can happen again this year?" And Coach Mudd said, the thing that's different about this year's team from the last 3 years of team is the heart, the competitiveness, the toughness. Our past teams had it. This team doesn't. Which was basically like a roundabout way of saying like this team is not going to turn the season around. Now I get it was right after a really bad loss and a 5 day road journey, road trip, and he was probably just tired and emotional. But then he followed that up by saying, like, I think maybe one of the best things we can do to make the best out of this season is develop our young guys and give our young guys more minutes and more time to develop. So I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna come in against A&M already ready to like call it quits on the season and play Bayfall, Blocker, and Pinion 25 minutes each and hope for the best. But I think probably what happened over the last 3 days was coach said, all right, we're 0-3. The one thing that he has not done all year is stick with a small rotation because he's been trying to find what rotation works. So if you look at all of our games, every single game, it's been 10 guys or at least 9 guys getting 13 minutes or more. And sometimes, yeah, it's like 11, 12, 13 guys. Against Florida, we played 14 guys. And so I wonder if coach was like, all right, let's just see what happens. And we've talked about it on this podcast, guys getting pulled too quick, right? Because they miss one assignment and coach
Al Ellis.
gets in their head. L. Ellis, that's happened to him all year. It's started to happen to Battle. But I think tonight, maybe coach said the one thing I haven't tried is just letting guys just put put the 5 guys on the court that I think are the 5 best ballers and just let them go, even if they mess up for a while. And it seemed to work, at least in the first half.
This was the starting lineup we started out the year with, and I think it's the most effective. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know about the rotation. I think Battle should see at least a couple minutes because he can get hot. So I don't think he should completely sit because that's big. But I do think Davenport's taken some of his minutes because Davenport, like you said, shows that energy on defense and just overall. And Battle sometimes will get down on himself after missing shots, or he'll stop playing defense when he's not hitting. And we just can't afford to have that this year. So I'm sure
No,
that's what Muss is looking at.
I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Our big
Yeah.
rotation is rough too. I don't know where to go from here. I think Chandler Lawson's obviously good defensively, but Mitchell just looks kind of lost and confused this year. Doesn't really fit with this year's team as much as last year. Jalen Graham's an offensive beast, but has limitations. Bay Falls.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like tonight's rotation. I agree with you on Battle. Um, I'd like to see Battle be able to get a few minutes, see if he can get hot, run some set plays for him, and really put a leash on him, and just say, hey, like if you see a double team coming, don't
Ask.
drive into it. Dribble back out, take your time, wait for the good ones, and stop forcing it. But yeah, like he can get. Yeah, he can definitely get hot.
And I think
We'll
that's
see.
what we've talked about. The short leash, he knows his role. It's to score. It's been his thing. And so when he gets in the game, he thinks, oh, I have to shoot to stay in.
Right.
I don't know that for sure, but I'm sure that goes through his head is I'm in the game to score, so I'm going to shoot the ball every time I touch it.
Right. Instead of like, yeah, you're in the game to score, but on a good shot, on on plays that we run for you and when the defense gives you an opening and not just force it. I think that's probably my one offensive critique of Jalen Graham as well. When he touches the
Kick.
ball, you don't even have a thought in your mind of like he's not going to shoot it. Like there's a 2% chance he passes it once he gets it. If that, I would
Less than
love to
that.
like less than that. Like I would love to see, like obviously if he catches it at the 3-point line, he might pass, but I would love to see a statistic if there's a way to track that of like when Jalen Graham catches the ball within 10 feet of the basket, how many times has he passed on how many possessions?
Less than
I'm
10.
willing to bet he's probably, at least at Arkansas in the last 2 years, probably caught the ball within 10 feet of the basket, probably we'll say 100 times, and has probably passed it out three. Like,
He'll do his patent spin move, and then when he does it and it's not there, he should kick it. If he doesn't, he does his pivot, and then tries that little floater.
yeah.
It's
And then
just
when he gets surrounded by two or three guys, there's like something in him that goes like, oh, even more of a chance to show how good I am, scoring over three guys so that I can do the too small thing on all three of them. And you're like, and you just got it stolen. Cool. Good job.
and you just threw it away because they'll try sometimes to dump it down, and then it's like, well, that guy's already there. He was open 5 seconds ago when you were making your spin.
Right. Doing the
So
spin cycle.
spin every time. It's dribble two is right, spin, spin.
Yeah. And he's great. It's just make the defense wonder, keep them honest, make them wonder if you might kick it back out, or maybe even do like a little like turnaround, like jump instead of the like spin, or I don't know.
Our best offense is drive and kick. I think we saw that in the first half tonight when we're driving, kicking, backdoor cuts,
Yep.
downs, just overall movement and passing. That's where we're at our best. That's where we can beat some good teams. When we do the stand around Tremont Mark show, we're not going to beat very many SEC teams,
No.
especially on
Yeah. Especially with our offensive rebounding being as
zero.
piss poor as
We
it
have a zero.
zero. I mean, what was it
We
tonight?
had three tonight. They had
19-2?
19. Yeah. And
Like,
one of them was Devo tapping it out, which is a guard. And then, like, what? Oh, Brazil should be getting so many offensive rebounds. He
it
just
should be.
doesn't crash the boards.
That's true. But part of that too is that like Tremont Mark solo ball because there's less movement happening. And so the defense already has
Already
inside
there.
position and they're set and they're solid. And you can't, but if there's more of that movement, then the defense is running in different directions. So if you're cutting out this way, the defense is chasing you, and that gives you a chance to cut back behind them to go get the rebound if you're not getting the lob or whatever. But that's part of like what happens is you get more offensive rebounds when there's more movement. You're going to get less when you're just standstill because the defenders will have inside position every time.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we need to improve. We got South Carolina on Saturday at noon. So I think we can definitely build on tonight's win. We're 1-3 in conference, 10-7. I think we need to somehow figure out a way to get to 9 or 10 conference wins to have any sort of chance to be on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean that and have a great SEC tournament run.
Oh yeah, we'll have to win at least 2 to 3 in the SEC tournament to even have a shot.
Yeah. We got a hole to dig out of. It is different
We've done it
than,
every other year, but it is a
yeah,
different for
it's
sure.
different this year though because our non-conference looks
We
way
lost.
worse. I mean, we lost to UNCG, and then we don't have, other than Duke, I mean, we just have so many quad one losses, I mean, to Oklahoma, to Memphis, to North Carolina. Um, yeah. And so it's just we don't have like a undefeated or one loss non-conference schedule to lean on to kind of like help alleviate some of that
That was a
SEC.
quad two win, I believe. So I saw.
Yeah, we have a we're for quad one wins, we are like 1 for 6, I think, or one for 5. And so that was Duke. And then quad two, I think we're like 3 for 4. I think we have like one or yeah, one loss there. And then we have one quad four loss against UNCG.
I don't think. But yeah, this definitely helps, but
Yeah, this is a quad. This should be quad one. It might be quad two because A&M's been
quad
struggling a
two.
little bit. Well.
But
Um,
if they keep winning, maybe. Let's see. I don't know if we play them again. Let me check. I don't know if we have to go to A&M.
I think we do actually.
We do. February 20th, Tuesday. That's going to be a tough environment.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
A Taylor and Coleman, I'm sure will be back, which is weird that he didn't play tonight. Undisclosed. Like, that's to me.
Strange. Um, yeah, I mean, it probably just nursing a swollen something or other, which I what's up with Marble? Is he injured as well?
Marble, is that their
Julius
guy?
Julius
Is he
Marble?
still there? Let me check. I thought he graduated.
No, he's listed on their roster.
No, he's got a fantastic mustache. I think I remember from last year. But yeah, he is on there. He's only a junior. What? Is he played at all?
Yeah, he has 0 stats for this year, so we should have done our research before this, but I remember thinking on that, I'm like, last year they had that like awesome combo of Coleman and Marble. I
Yeah.
mean, those two guys are, I mean, that's the best like 4-5 or double five combo like in the SEC. I mean, those guys are both just big, physical, talented guys, but he doesn't have a single stat for this season, so he must have had a rough injury in the offseason or something.
He's going. He is going through a university process.
Oh, is it an eligibility issue? I think I remember hearing about that.
It might have been. It says he has a wrist. He was away from the program in October and is unable to partake in team activities. So it sounds like an eligibility thing. And then it's personal.
Interesting.
Marble, this was January 5th, so a couple weeks ago. Marble remains away from the team and doesn't have a clear return date.
Okay.
So something happened, but big for us.
Yeah, I mean, not having both of those guys, I mean that makes up a point for us, I'd say, especially with our 4-5s both being as bad as they are at rebounding.
Oh,
Uh,
it would have been way worse tonight. I don't think we win.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I think we're about out of time, but hey, a win is a win. I'm
A win is a
happy.
win.
Let's use it. Let's let it create momentum.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.